It is indeed a delight to be able to be here. I keep being very grateful that Doug invites me back year after year. This is one of the highlights of my year. I have said to several people that my last CD came out in 1998. And everybody would keep asking me, when are you going to come out with another CD? And I kept on telling them, well, someday, maybe next year. But it never came to pass. So finally, I thought, you know, this year, when I go down to Vision Forum for the San Antonio Independent Christian Film Festival, I'd like to have a new CD. And so God was very gracious to allow me to do that. But it was because of this very special time. I thought, I'm going to work toward getting it done by October. So God was gracious on that. The story of Isaac, the sacrifice of Isaac, is really quite well known from a lot of people, but it's often very much misunderstood. We often think that it's the story of a test of Abraham's love, but it's really a test of his faith. You see, God had promised Abraham that through Isaac he would have many descendants. What that meant practically was Isaac is going to have children. So when God asked Abraham to offer up his son before he had children, Abraham knew that he would come back from that mountain with his son together, alive. He knew that because he knew that God never lies. Now the Lord was gracious to Sarah, as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah what he had promised. Sarah became pregnant and bore a son to Abraham in his old age, at the very time God had promised. Abraham gave the name Isaac to the son Sarah bore him. When his son Isaac was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him, as God commanded him. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. Sarah said, God has brought me laughter. For who would ever have said that Sarah would nurse children? The child grew and was weaned. And on the day Isaac was weaned, Abraham held a great feast. But Sarah saw that the son that Hagar, the Egyptian, had born to Abraham was mocking. And she said to Abraham, get rid of that slave woman and her son, because that slave woman's son will never share in the inheritance with my son Isaac. The matter distressed Abraham greatly because it concerned his son. But God said to Abraham, do not be so distressed about the boy and her maidservant. Listen to whatever Sarah tells you, because it is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned. I will make the son of the maidservant into a nation also. Early the next morning, Abraham took some food and a skin of water and gave them to Hagar. He sent her off with a boy. She went away and wandered in the desert of Beersheba. When the water in the skin was gone, she put the boy under one of the bushes. Then she went and sat down nearby, about a bow shot away, for she thought, I cannot watch the boy die. And as she sat there nearby, she began to sob. God heard the boy crying. And the angel of the Lord called to Hagar from heaven and said, what is the matter, Hagar? Don't be afraid. God has heard the boy crying as he lies there. Lift up the boy and take him by the hand, because I will make him into a great nation. Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. So she went over and filled the skin with water and gave the boy a drink. God was with the boy as he grew up. He lived in the desert and became an archer. While he was living in the desert of Paran, his mother got a wife for him from Egypt. At that time, Abimelech, and Phicol, the commander of his army, said to Abraham, God is with you in everything you do. Now, swear to me, here, before God, that you will not deal falsely with me or my children or my descendants. Show to me in the country where you are living as an alien the same kindness I have shown to you. Abraham said, I swear it. Then Abraham complained to Abimelech about a well of water that his servants had seized. Abimelech said to Abraham, I do not know who has done this. You did not tell me, and I heard about it only today. So Abraham brought sheep and cattle and gave them to Abimelech. And the two men signed a treaty. Abraham set apart 7 ewe lambs from the flock. And Abimelech asked Abraham, what is the meaning of these 7 ewe lambs you have set apart from the flock? He replied, accept these 7 lambs from my hand as a witness that I dug this well. So that place was called Beersheba, because the 2 men swore an oath there. After the treaty had been made in Beersheba, Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his army, went back to the land of the Philistines. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and there he called upon the name of the Lord, the eternal God. Sometime later, God tested Abraham. He said to him, Abraham, here I am, he replied. Then God said, take your son, your only son whom you love, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains I will tell you about. Early the next morning, Abraham got up and saddled his donkey. He took with him 2 of his servants and his son Isaac. After he had cut enough wood for the burnt offering, he set out for the place God had told him about. On the 3rd day, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. He said to his servants, stay here with the donkey, while I and the boy go over there. We will worship, and then we will come back to you. Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and placed it on his son Isaac. And he himself took the wood, or the knife, and the fire. As the 2 of them went along together, Isaac spoke up and said to his father Abraham, Father, yes, my son. The fire and the wood are here, Isaac said, but where's the lamb for the burnt offering? Abraham answered, the Lord himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son. And the 2 of them went on together. When they came to the place the Lord had told him about, Abraham built an altar there and arranged the wood on it. He bound his son Isaac and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Then Abraham reached out and took the knife to slay his son. But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. Here I am, he replied. Do not lay a hand on the boy, he said. Do not do anything to him. Now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son. Then Abraham looked up, and there in a thicket he saw a ram caught by its horns. So he went over, took the ram, and sacrificed it as a burnt offering instead of his son Isaac. And Abraham called that place, the Lord will provide. And to this day it is said, on the mountain of the Lord it will be provided. Then the angel of the Lord called again to Abraham from heaven and said, I swear by myself, declares the Lord, that because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son, I will surely bless you and make your descendants as numerous as the stars of the sky and as the sand on the seashore. Your descendants will take possession of the cities of their enemies, and through your offspring, all nations on earth will be blessed, because you have obeyed me. Then Abraham went back to his servants, and they set off together for Beersheba. And Abraham stayed in Beersheba. And that is the real story of the sacrifice of Isaac.